Welcome to the Spurs News Podcast, your home for all things Tottenham Hotspur. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Spurs News Podcast. I am Sam. Joining me as always, my partner in crime, it's Matt.
Hey, Sam. Mate, I'm feeling so sorry for you. I really am.
Oh, don't.
I really am.
Don't do that.
No, listen, right, meant for me personally, and I think it's becoming more prevalent in society anyway, but mental health is so important, obviously, isn't it? And I've come to the conclusion, and this is why I don't know if I'm going to distance myself yet, but with Spurs and with football, your happiness is completely and utterly out of your control. There's nothing you can do when it comes to it, right? So you can affect things, can't you? You can change things in your life to make you happier. But unfortunately, with football, I can. You can, if you're at the game, you can maybe start a chant or something, but that's about all you're going to do to affect that game, right? And your 40th birthday is basically going to go dependent on what happens on Sunday, mate.
Yeah. So for anyone who didn't know, as Matt is enjoying this moment, I turned 40 this Sunday. The game wasn't supposed to be on the Sunday. The bastards moved it. It's not the first time either.
Oh, God.
So a North London derby on my 40th birthday is not how I want to spend my day. I gotta be honest with you as well. I genuinely am considering not watching it.
Oh, mate, it's either going to be the best 40th in 40th history, or it's going to be the worst.
Yeah. Now, there's two factors to this. One is my daughter wants to go out for a meal. And to be honest with you, what she wants, she tends to get. But two is the honest to goodness fact that I never enjoy a North London derby. Even when we've won, I endure them. Like the last North London derby at our ground last season, we beat them 3-0, I think it was.
It's insane. It was comfortable from
the atmosphere was incredible. We mauled them. It felt the nicest, the best victory over them ever. And yet, even with mauling them 3-0 up, the crowd all over them looking shell-shocked, I still had in the pit of my stomach, even West Ham put 3 past us in 10 minutes. They could do it. They could do it. I am a wreck. I am awful. Why do I want to do that on my birthday?
Oh, mate. Do you know what? Seb doesn't want to go. It's like it's an endurance test, isn't it? Because if it's so kind of a draw will be obviously to take a draw out of the equation, but a win or a loss it's so extreme, isn't it? Like a win is like, this is just the most amazing day of my entire life. A defeat, and you're like, I just want to go and hide under something for the next 2 or 3 hours and to cry the whole time.
It is awful, and I hope everyone listening kind of understands where I'm coming from with this. And look, you're a listener of the podcast, you know us. If you're a first time listener, you don't. You're thinking, God, who's this asshole? Don't even want to watch the North London derby. Sorry, but what I'm hoping people kind of resonate with that, where it's just like vast majority of games I can watch, win, lose, or draw, and I'm grumpy or whatever, but then I shake it off. The North London derby is different. I don't shake that off. I really struggle with it, and I've got a lot of Gooner friends who are really going to enjoy wishing me happy birthday. Like these bastards ring me once a year maybe, and they'll be all over me. And
also as well, if they win, then they go clear at the top. It would be hell, wouldn't it? It would just be utter hell.
It's not just clear. Yeah. I can't. There's like every year it feels like there's a lot riding on it. You know what I mean? Like last year, the top 4, it was a lot riding on that. Every single time we play them, since Pochettino brought us back into some sort of contention, it's felt like every North London derby has had a real something riding on it. And this one is like, we beat them. We then fielded the under-14s third team against Man City twice.
Yeah.
we literally deny them the title.
Yeah.
Now I know everyone's saying, "Oh, we beat them and we beat Man City twice. We're back in it." Whatever.
Right.
Well, I want to deny them the title.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Watching them win titles and trophies every single year whilst I was at school was hell. To go back to that, to go back to them winning the league, it hurts me, Matt. It literally causes me pain. It causes me pain just thinking about it. So I would very much like to beat them well, have our crowd maul them again to the point that they're shell shocked and all over the place like last year, and somehow cause their downturn. But maybe I'm being really negative, but I just don't see it.
No, do you know what's going to help? And you know what I'm like. I'm always just trying to find different
alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Right. No,
because
sorry,
that was exactly what I was going. Because like normally these North London derbies. I know actually thinking about it, the last one was an evening one, wasn't it?
It was evening. It was special.
But
mate.
but 4:30 is still early evening. So you've got fans hopefully that have been down a pub all day. You know, the pubs are open at 10. They're drinking since 10.
The atmosphere is going to be good. I mean, it needs to be. I think the fans surely watched what happened last time and must be thinking we have to recreate that. But then at the same time, Arsenal have experienced it now. Maybe they've learned from it. I don't know.
Yeah, do you know what? I was having, obviously, because me and Seb are talking about it, because it's it's going to be something that's going to dominate the weekend for us both, especially going as well. And look, I'm saying something that's obvious. I'm saying something that everyone who's been a Spurs or Arsenal fan for over a few years knows this is the case. But form really does go out the window.
You're right.
It is a case of who's got the bigger balls in the game, and that proved it at the last game at our stadium, because they just completely lost it. They just, once the first goal went in and they got the red card, they'd gone, their heads had gone, and I think also it's probably part of the reason why we always struggle at their stadium, because we're not able to cope with the atmosphere, the kind of the atmosphere they create at their stadium. Because I mean, we've won once there since their new stadium's open, which is a ridiculously poor record. So I feel like having home advantage is good, but also we've got we've got fair few players who've been in a few North London derbies, like Dyer and Kane and Lloris, and they have, I guess, as well. But you're looking at all these different factors, aren't you? At the end of the day, I just think it's going to become down to who just wants it, like who's got the most courage. I don't think form matters, because I was saying to Seb, when you look, I know you touched upon the dark old days, but even then, I know we didn't tend to win as much, but we'd still give them a good, we'd be sort of floating around 15th, 16th in the table. They'd be like, only got to get 2 more wins to win the title. And
it give them a hell of a fight.
Yeah, we did every time, and so I'm just hoping that, because we haven't been playing that well and they're obviously flying, that doesn't come into account on Sunday.
So, you can go on to these gambling websites, gamble responsibly, everybody. And you can do build a bet, where you create a scenario and stuff like that. I saw someone share on Twitter, and they built a bet which was Romero to be booked, which I thought
likely.
Yeah, that's decent. Yeah, that's probably fair. Kane to score 2, which we all know would mean he'd break Greaves' record.
It's a We're the Rovers moment, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. But then Arsenal to win.
Oh, fair enough. Right, what's the odds?
So he's like, Romero booked. I honestly, I can't remember the odds of it, but it was he I don't know how much he's putting down or anything, but he was getting back a few £100.
Right. Okay.
So it was like, Romero booked, Kane to get 2, but Arsenal to win the game. And I looked at it and went, only a Tottenham fan would make that bet. And I looked, and it was a Tottenham fan. So only a Tottenham fan could look at that and go, Romero get booked, of course he will. Kane to get 2, of course he will. But the whole thing will get friggin' mired. Just like Lamella's Rabona against them, that goal.
He won the Puskas, didn't he?
Won the friggin' Puskas award, and yet we lost the game. It's so infuriating.
Oh my God.
Someone on Twitter once described supporting Tottenham Hotspur as like getting a blowjob and punched in the nuts at the same time. And I still find that analogy to be the most accurate I've ever had about supporting this club.
But do you know what? Look, I know it's funny because I know we've talked about it quite a lot, but it is perception, and you know, from the point of view of like, you know, where we are, we all think it's all doom and gloom, but you know, we're still kind of in the Champions League and we're sort of floating around the top four, so things aren't.
Yeah.
But so on Facebook, I'm friends with a guy who's a diehard Charlton fan. And he goes to home and away. He's proper good fan. You know, he goes to home and away all the time. And he was he put a post on because he was going to Old Trafford a couple of days, or was it yesterday or whenever it was, the Carabao Cup quarter final. And he said the last time they lost 3-0, but he took it as a positive because the last time they went to Old Trafford was the last time they was in the Premier League and they lost 4-0. So he said, well, I feel like we've actually improved, you know.
Yeah,
But
nice.
he then listed like all the places he's been to since they got relegated and where they lost, and it's like places like Fleetwood and things like that.
Yeah.
And you know, you just think, well, we I feel like I'm ungrateful sometimes because I could be a Charlton fan, you know, and there's fans they're all clubs. If you're a support of that club, you're always going to think your team's the one that's, you know, always doing badly and they're the unlucky ones. They almost, I mean, look at Man United, how they must feel like how they were just winning everything, and now they're sort of I mean, they might win a cup. Obviously, they're close to winning the Carabao Cup, but I know I get it, and I know where you're coming from with the kind of like how it always seems to be us, but I don't think we're as bad as we think we are when it comes to luck. I don't think. Perspective, mate. It's all about perspective.
Yes, it is about perspective. You're right.
I'm trying to put a positive spin on it. Do you know what? I'm trying to get myself in this mind frame for Sunday.
I'm sorry. I appreciate that I'm Debbie Downer. I think I don't necessarily, you know, turning 40. See, here's the funny thing. Turning 40 has never bothered me. I know, and a lot of people are like, turning 30 didn't bother me. The age that bothered me was 25. Now, the reason why is because about 2 days before my 25th birthday, someone flippantly went, quarter of a century. And I went, what? He went, yeah, quarter of a century. That means if you live to 100, which is unlikely, you're a quarter of the way through your life. And that person said it flippantly and walked off, and I just went, holy shit.
Do you know another thing?
And I was a mess.
Do you know another thing that's going to blow your mind now? So you're so what year was you born? So if you're 40, that was what, you 83?
1983.
1983, right. So if you go back 40 years, so
Matt, I know what you're about to do, and I want you to shut up. I know exactly what you're about to do, and you're not funny. So it's not big and it's not clear. Will you shut up?
You're the same distance. You're the same distance when you was born to the Second World War.
Stop. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sorry the Spurs News podcast had to be interrupted due to one of the hosts having to slap the other one. And due to the distance, it's going to take me a couple of hours to get there.
Do you know what though? Do you know what though, Sam? It's age. I tell you what. Do you know what it makes me think of? And I'm hoping that we've got some people listening that are similar age to us, or probably older. You know, so the youngsters, this ain't for you, yeah. But
yeah,
me, Vicky, and the kids, we've booked a holiday to Turkey this year in August for 2 weeks.
What surgery are you having?
yeah. I'll think about that later. Yeah, maybe get my teeth done. But yeah. We're going away for 2 weeks. Now, the last time I went on a 2-week holiday, I think I went with my parents. I mean, I've not been on one as an adult, I don't think. Now, when you go on a 2-week holiday, and I take it you've been on a 2-week holiday before, a fortnight's holiday.
Yeah, when I was a kid.
When you was a kid, yeah. Right, so the first 2 or 3 days, you think, I'm going to be here forever. Right, this is just, I feel like I live here now. Like, I might as well, why don't we just move all our stuff in? And then you click your fingers and you're like, shit, I've only got 2 days left, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like this is what's happening with my age, right? Because I'm going to be 44, right? Apologies for the swearing. I'm going to be 44 in a couple of months. 44! Like, when we started our podcast, Sam, I think I was still in my 30s, and I'm going to be halfway to 50, half a decade to 50. Like, where is the time going? Do you know what I mean?
Well, and that's all from Depression FM. Thank you all for listening. Now the Coldplay hour.
Mate,
Oh,
it just
man.
goes too quick. Like,
Let's stop. No, we got to stop. We got to stop. Right, we're going to go to fan questions because if we don't, I think I'm going to jump. Genuinely, and I don't live anywhere that's that high. I'm just going to do my ankle in.
Just very quickly before you go any further, and again, I'm going off on a tangent that's completely unrelated to football, but. Yeah. I saw a thing come up on social media. I don't know if you've seen it, and it was this couple, these friends who must have been about in their 40s at least, that broke into a water park. Did you see this?
No.
Right? So I don't watch. I mean, I'm never at home anyway, and even if I was at home during the day, I wouldn't put This Morning on. But if you get a chance, you can probably Google it. But if you put in water park closing this morning, with Phil and Holly, and basically this couple are on it, and they're sitting in wheelchairs, and they're all their legs are gone, like their ankles have gone and their shin. Yeah. And what they did is they both got really drunk, broke into a water park, went down the water slide. And at the bottom was this metal fence that had been put there because obviously it was closed.
No.
And they just completely shattered, both of them shattered their legs. It's
what the fuck?
What was you think? And then she's on there going, well, everyone does something silly, and really they should have had it. They should have it locked up. It's their fault, really, because they should.
No. Right, I know we live in a society that has to have the word hot written next to coffee.
Or don't drink on bleach bottles.
Yeah, I know we live in that society. Do you know, for years now, I've argued the point that all of that should be taken away and just let natural selection take over.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
But anyway,
go on. Let's refocus.
Right, yeah, all right. Refocusing. We are now going to the fan comments and questions.
Now it's time for your comments from our social media.
Don't have anything from Instagram. Do you know what that means?
Go on.
No one on Instagram loves us anymore.
So, no, I think what it is, I think Mountain Man's, his Wi-Fi's playing up. Island Brother is just he's having a few drinks and a few rum and cokes on his island, and he's just forgotten about us.
Yeah. We used to get comments from a guy called Rock Me Amadeus.
Yeah.
And he used to comment on a regular basis, and I made him his own thing, and he hasn't commented since I made it.
Do you think it's his protest about your?
I don't know. I just hope he's well.
Maybe he just listened to it and thought that was shit. Like I'm not going to comment again now because I'm really infuriated about the little jingle you made me.
Oh, that's freaking Jesus. On a pop of me about my
Sorry,
age.
mate. I'm actually trying to distract you from your age, Sam. That's what I'm trying to do.
This is becoming very hurtful tonight.
Oh, mate.
So
listen, your jingles are brilliant. Your jingles are brilliant, Sam. You know they are.
No, it's been said now, Matthew. You need to move on. Yeah, I fall named you as well. Right, Michael Jasper Ennis. Hello, sir. Question for Sam. Oh, okay.
Oh.
As you have a soft spot, who told you? Oh, for the FA Cup. Okay. Would you take us winning the cup in exchange for Arsenal winning the league? Oh, for fuck's sake.
God.
Oh, Michael, I've just used the analogy that I've for Tottenham as that getting a blowjob and punched in the nuts at the same time. And I would use that analogy for this question. Would I exchange us winning the cup? Do you know what? That would be what would happen, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we finally win a trophy. Like, we finally lift the FA Cup. I would be over the moon. I would be in tears at the fact that I finally see Hugo Lloris, who's put everything into this club for a decade, lift the trophy for us. I would be over the moon knowing that Harry Kane has an FA Cup on his CV with Tottenham. I would just be delighted for every single fan that we're back winning the FA Cup. That'd be our 9th time winning it. All of a sudden, people would be like, bloody hell, Tottenham have won it 8 times before. Yes, football existed before the Premier League. Catch up.
Yeah.
And it would feel amazing. But wouldn't that just be Tottenham that we did that the same season those bastards won the league?
Oh, it just would, wouldn't it?
It's like, why? Why? And why ask me that? Why put that in the universe, Michael?
We could be Charlton fans. Just think of that. Come on, it's not that bad.
Okay, all right. Michael, I actually don't know. I honestly don't. Like, because I think about what would I give to win the FA Cup. Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to do that again. Like 91, one of my favourite memories. But then winning the league, They won the league in 91 when we won it then.
Yeah, but you know what? Actually, now you say that, I didn't know that. So, or I probably might have done, but I wasn't that
Yeah.
aware. So maybe it won't be as bad as you think it will be.
Well, I only know it because we then played them in the Community Shield the next year,
Right.
and it was the only or the last time if it finished in a draw they shared it.
Okay.
So I've got this weird picture of Arsenal and Tottenham players all intermingled
Ugh.
with the League Trophy, the FA Cup, and the Community Shield.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
Uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. Michael, I'm sorry I can't answer it. I choose death. Suicide. Yep, there we go.
There you go. Do you know, talking about...
Or turning 40, which apparently is the same thing. Sorry, Matt, you were
I
saying?
was going to say, talking about being uncomfortable, I saw another video, I can't remember it, maybe on Instagram or something, I don't know if you saw it, of Sol Campbell getting harassed by a Spurs fan. It was so funny. You Judas, see you into... And he gets his security guy. First of all, he goes over to him.
Yeah.
But do you know what? In my mind, I was thinking, I really hope like that happens to him all the time. Because I genuinely, if I saw him, I would just call him a Judas C-U-N-T. I would.
It's interesting because there's so many things like in life. Like there's certain celebrities and people that I think to myself, if I saw that person, I'd want to hit them because of the way they are and their persona. Like Piers Morgan, I genuinely don't think if that bloke was sounding off around me, I could restrain myself.
No.
I don't think I could. And so, like, I would deliberately, like, not ever put myself in that position. Like, if I became famous or something and I was invited to be interviewed by him, I'd say no.
No, yeah, turn it down.
I'd just be like, do you know what? No, because if he rubs me the wrong way, I'm in jail. I just wouldn't. I'd hit him. I'd be a national hero, but I'd be in jail.
Yeah.
So I look at that and I think that. I mean, Alan Titchmarsh, I'd just knock him out.
Yeah,
That guy
got
needs to
that
avoid
problem
me.
with him.
Oh, I hate that son of a bitch. And I can't tell you why, but I see his face and I get angry.
Do you think if he wasn't called Titchmarsh, you might be a little less angry with him?
Mate, I have tried for years to work out what it is. There's something about the way he speaks, and he just seems to show up everywhere. It's like the guy was a gardener, and here he is at the royal wedding. Like, fuck off! I don't know. Why are you there? Anyway. Just he needs to be up, okay. But Sol Campbell, it's an interesting one because he's actually a big guy.
Yeah, you're right.
I often think to myself, like, would I genuinely pick that fight with him, or like, would I genuinely, like, if I'm walking down, he stood there with all his security and everything, would I say yeah? And the answer is 100% yeah. I take an ass kicking to tell him what I think of him.
Yeah, I just want to just tell him that I hate him. That's all. Because I genuinely, like, he's the only person I can think of in the entire world that I hate, and I'll continue to hate for the rest of my life because of how much he hurt me, you know.
Like, and I've taught my child to hate as well. I want that to be passed on, like sectarianism.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like.
Wait a minute, this doesn't make me sound good.
No, but I feel like I've just got this desire to want him to know how much he's hated. Like I don't want him to know. I don't want him to think, oh, they've forgotten about me now. I want him to know how much we hate him.
I personally very much enjoyed his tweet where he claims that he hasn't been given an OBE or anything because he's black. And there were replies in this tweet from Tottenham fans, which was obvious we were going to reply. There were replies for some gooners who worship him and whatever. But then there's replies just from people from all clubs you can imagine, every football club under the sun, just basically calling him out, saying, maybe it's because you showed yourself to be an unloyal prick.
Yeah.
Like, loyalty is valued quite highly in the British Empire. Maybe it was because you proved yourself to be scum.
Yeah.
Oh,
did you see as well? And I understand what he was trying to say, but it didn't come out right. Did you see? He said as well something like, "I'm one of the only." I think he mentioned his race again. I think he said like one of the only black players to score in a World Cup final.
Yeah,
and they're like, "You wasn't even born." Well, I get. If he'd have put finals, then I'd understand that. But he put final, like you know.
Yeah. It was an obvious typo, but one we can all look at and go, "You're a prat." Yeah. So Tom Perks also messaged in. He says, "Happy New Year to you both, and happy birthday to Sam." Oh, thank you. My question is, what do you think will be a realistic points tally from the next 5 games? They look hellishly tough. So let me have a look, because it's Man City twice, Arsenal once, and I think we've got
Fulham. We've got Fulham, yeah. So Man City.
Who are doing pretty well at the moment. So let's have a look then. So we got the Scum on Sunday, then Man City away, Fulham away, Preston in the Cup, obviously that's the Cup, and then Man City at home and Leicester away. Okay, so the league games, 3, 6. I'm gonna say 9 points.
Yeah. Where are they coming from?
I think we will. will clearly beat Arsenal.
Clearly, yeah.
I genuinely think one of the games against Man City will win because somehow we seem to get in their heads. Yeah, I don't know how we do it.
Yeah.
But we do. We see ever since that VAR thing in the Champions League, we seem to have this thing over them.
This hold.
Yeah, the only downside is I watched them lose to Southampton without getting a shot on target, so they are due to batter somebody, and I'm kind of hoping it's whoever they play before us.
Yeah.
Fulham, Leicester away. I think we'll beat Fulham, but Leicester away. You know, you look at that and you go, Leicester have been having a poor season. We're above them. That's Leicester winning all day long, isn't it?
Well, they were winning 2-1 until the 94th minute when they last season.
Yeah, we don't have Burgoyne anymore.
Yeah,
unfortunately. Yeah, it's all gone wrong.
Emerson Royale would do it instead.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look. See. 9. Do you agree with 9?
Okay, so Arsenal 3 points. Yep. I think we'll get a draw against City at home, 4 points. Fulham will beat. That's 7. They'll beat us at Man City at their ground, and then we'll beat Leicester. So I'm saying 10 points from those 5 games.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I hope you're right.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Ryan Miller says there are multiple rumours about PSG owners investing in Spurs. Is there any substance to this? If it's true and does happen, what would this mean for the club? Oh man, let's circle back to that one. Let's finish with that one. Liam Dempsey says, in what order would you rank the 6 summer signings from best to worst? That's very subjective, isn't it?
And also as well, I think that it would be a good thing to rate later in the season, because at the moment, for example, Richarlison, I wouldn't rank him that high, but because he's been injured for so long, you know, like I feel
it's a difficult thing because Jed Spence would be rock bottom. But
yeah, it's not his fault, is it?
Yeah. It's not me thinking he's not good. It's not me. We haven't seen him.
Do you think, right? I don't know if I'm just completely plucking this out of nowhere, but I remember when Jed Spence signed and Conte made a big point of saying that it wasn't one of his signings and it wasn't a player that he wanted. And I worry that he's like, I'm just not playing because I didn't want him. No, this is my ego getting
this was, at the time, this was kind of a little bit misquoted and misreported. And I remember Alistair Gold of Football London clarified this. He when the press conference was over and stuff, he dug into it a bit and did an article. So basically what he was saying was Jed Spence is a good club signing because he's a really fantastic young player who can develop. But Conte wants players who are ready now. Like, if you want me to go and win the league, I can't be coaching kids to be good in 2 years. You need to sign me Perisic.
Yeah, Perisic, basically,
Yeah. So what he was saying was, you need to give me this player, and his point was that's the player he's looking for and that's the profile he's asking the club for, but he understands the club has to look for now and also down the line. Perisic signed a 2-year or 3-year deal, I can't remember where, I think it's 2 with an option. So they want Sessegnon to be, the left wing back for the future. As soon as, when Perisic leaves, Sessegnon's the man. And they want someone else to be coming through behind him. The squad building aspect of the job Paratici is doing is actually quite good if these players develop the way we want them to. You got to look at the other right-sided wing back, Destiny Udogi. I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry. When he joins us, I really hope they do one of those videos, this is how you say my name, because at the moment I've watched about 5 different games 5 different commentary teams who've said his name 5 different ways, and I'm like, oh, come on.
Well, then a song going around as well, wasn't it? Because during the transfer window, how much is the doggy in the window?
Yeah, I know. How much is doggy in the window? I mean, yeah, if he comes over and he's a success, can you imagine that the fans like making up like, here's our doggy in the window, and him looking around like, what?
Yeah, what are you talking? Do you know? I don't know if
he's having a cracking season.
I was going to say that.
He is really playing. Yeah, he was injured, and then he came back like he hadn't missed a beat, and the kid's just straight with assists and key passes,
Wicked.
and he got man of the match the other day, like his second game back, and so he is again coming in, and now you've got there at the moment, you've got Emerson Royal, Matt Doherty. Both of them really haven't done it.
No.
So both of them really need to go. Jed, I think Conte believes needs a loan. I think he's kind of the opinion, you've got all this raw ability, but you need to play games, but I don't think you're ready for me right now. Depending on how that's being communicated will greatly depend on how the player feels, of course. But Destiny over in Italy, he genuinely looks amazing, which is phenomenal. And we've been able to secure him already. So, the ranking the signings, I find it difficult because of the criteria. Like, if I'm going to rank these players based on what I've seen, I'd put Papa Matasar quite high up.
Yeah, he had a good game against Portsmouth.
But he's had like 3 games. So how's that fair? So it's kind of difficult. So I'm sorry, I'm not sidetracking that question. I will happily, at the end of the season, do a part of our season finale where we go through every sign-in, summer and January, and we rate them, the impact they've had and stuff. But I kind of feel like at the moment it's odd. It's an odd season anyway because of the stupid World Cup being in the middle of it.
Sure.
Which feels a long time ago
It
now.
does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's mad. Jay Keach says, okay, the big question is, why is Conte still here? Everyone's blaming Enoch and Levy, but the fact is Conte green lights and tells them who he wants.
Well, we've just had the Jed Spencers as evidence that...
Yeah. And 90% of the time he gets what he wants. And Conte that picks the team. Jay, I don't overly agree with you. Conte does pick the team, he does pick the tactics, and if you look at us on occasion not playing well, I do feel that he does have questions to answer for that, definitely.
It's tricky for me because it's for me his reputation and what he's done in the past. Maybe it clouds my judgment, so I'm kind of like, I just know that he's got the pedigree. I know he has because he's proven it. He's not just talk, he's walk to walk. But I find one thing that's frustrating, and it's funny because when you're a fan and you're watching, you're like, why are you doing this? And you think this guy's getting paid millions. He's won everything, like everywhere he's gone.
Yeah.
So, and he's me sitting in my armchair, like
I know.
But I just find the lack of substitute sometimes just does my head in. Like you can clearly see something needs to change, and you need to get some fresh legs on or change.
Yeah.
And he doesn't do it, and I don't understand why. But the opposing team have like made 3 or 4 subs, and he's not done any. And he's like,
no.
What am I missing? Why is he not seeing what I'm seeing?
There's different. There's all sorts of debates around that, and you're never going to get a final answer from it. But I remember I had that with Pochettino a little bit. Like the Pochettino, sometimes I'd be like, "This is nuts! Like we're not doing well. Why don't we change it? Why don't we do something?" And then it'd feel like, "Oh, great, we're making a change now. It's too bloody late. This has happened." And I'd feel like managers would tactically outdo him sometimes, and it'd frustrate me. But the thing that he wrote about this in his book, and there was a few articles written as well after he'd left us, about the fact that although we as fans look at the players of what they do in the 10 minutes they come on as a cameo sometimes as being really good, the coach works with them every single day, talks to them every single day, and it is a workplace.
Yeah.
So if you've got a bench of people who, quite frankly, you don't trust them to come on and make a difference, you don't trust that if you give them an instruction they're going to follow it, you're not going to bring them on. And the players that you do trust, and even if they're not at the same level, but you do trust to say, look, I need you to come on and this is what I need you to do, and to the best of their ability they're going to do it, then you're going to bring them on.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And it's Emerson Royale, I think, is someone that clearly Conte, although he doesn't have the ability to do it to the level Conte wants him to, he at least knows if I tell him to come on and track that person or do this, he will try.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas if I tell someone to come on and do this, like another player, and not mention any names of this, but if I say this to another player and they're just going to be like, okay, but when they get on the pitch, they'll think, oh, I know better, and go wandering off. He is a coach, similar to Pochettino in this way, and similar to Pep Guardiola, who have got a system, and you fit in the system, and I will coach you to my system, and it will work. 99% of the time, we will dominate and we will win. When we don't, we just carry on because it's an anomaly. And if you put the world's best players into these systems, it works. Look at Man City, it works. Pochettino coaches players to get to that level, and it works. But he PSG, he did win stuff. I know people are like, oh, it's only in France, but he did win stuff.
Yeah.
And Conte, at every club he's been at, he has done it. What did you think to the Sky Sports News reporter this week saying he believes Conte won't leave Tottenham till he's at least won one trophy?
I feel like they're not trolling us with that comment.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit mean.
Do you know what? When you posted that, I was thinking that's got to come from a parody account because I feel like it's a proper trolling comment.
Oh no, that was a real quote.
Wow.
Okay, so going back to Ryan Miller. Have you read much about this?
What's this?
The PSG owners want.
Oh, so yeah. Do you know what? I completely forgot that's what the question was about. Yeah. Do you know what? So I've heard of it, heard about it, and Seb keeps asking me, "What do you know, Dad?" Because he's desperate, because he knows that these guys get involved, and suddenly we've got money in the club, and as proved with teams like Manchester City and Newcastle, and not so much Newcastle yet, but I'm sure we'll see that in a few years.
You will, yeah.
They're not in it for an investment like Unique, and they're just got money coming out their ears, and I want to spend it, So
it is to be blunt, it's sport washing. It is money from regimes and areas and from activities that we in our civilization deem not acceptable. But what they do is they invest around the world in sports and everything like that, and try and create a new narrative.
Yeah, legitimize the money. Yeah,
and legitimize the money.
Yeah.
You're right. For that reason, so let's just deal with that first. Like with the Qatar World Cup, I would find it very, very, and look, don't get me wrong, and people can have a pop at me about this. I did watch the World Cup. I thought some of the games were excellent and stuff. I found what Qatar did, the fact they got it, etc. I blame FIFA, alright, for all of that. I think the whole thing was stupid, should never have gone there. Don't agree with it, but it's happened, it's done, history moved on. I would feel very uneasy about this particular, where that money comes from. On the flip side, I also am becoming more and more painfully aware, without significant investment, there is no competitiveness. Now, ENIC, our owners, have the money to do it, but they don't have the inclination. That's not them. We've discussed it to death. We don't need to cover that again. Someone like this, they want to invest to win stuff because they want the profile, because like I just said, sport washing. They want to be seen with, stood next to Lionel Messi in Salt Bay, whatever the hell that is, next to the World Cup. They want to be seen, next to the Champions League trophy. Hey, look at what our team did. Look, they want to be seen doing that. Now, they bought PSG, have elevated PSG to be a team that's a force, but at the same time, they've not been able to get over that hurdle of PSG can play Champions League and look amazing, but then when they come up against a team who's solid, defensively sound, they come unstuck.
Did you see,
regardless of who their manager is?
No, of course. Did you see what I heard it on the radio yesterday, what their wage bill was for last year?
No.
660 million.
Oh, that's disgusting.
It's insane, isn't it? For 1 year.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
But the point is, they want to diversify, and this is a well-known thing. They want to diversify. What that means is they cannot own another football club in Europe. They can't because they own PSG. They don't want to sell PSG, but what they want to do is they want to buy shares in another club. And by doing that, they won't have ownership or anything like that, but they'll just be investors. And they had a meeting with Daniel Levy. Now, the club have denied it. They've said, nope, this is not what's happening at all. Daniel Levy simply knows them, and whenever they're in London, they get together. A couple of reporters who I trust very well have said, yeah, that is what the meeting was about. And, of course they caught up, and they do know each other, they're friends, and they talked, but that was very much on the agenda. However, it is so preliminary. It is so kind of like, hey, would you sell us 25% if we whacked this much money in? And ENIC probably went, double it. It's Daniel Levy, isn't it? Yeah. Double it, and I'll also throw in a Jermaine Genius bobblehead doll. Come on. So you also got to remember that Liverpool are literally for sale at the moment. Manchester United are literally for sale at the moment. So these people, although they can't buy them because they can't own them, they could easily put part of money into a fund. So just to show you how strange these things are, this investment group own PSG outright. They could fund Eric Cantona investment group to buy Man United. Eric Cantona is the owner of Man United. They've paid for it. So, if they're looking at Tottenham, they're probably just looking around all the options. If they have got a working relationship with Daniel Levy, which lots of people claim, then it would make sense for them to sit down with him and talk to him. Daniel Levy and ENIC's end goal will always be to sell Tottenham to realise their investment. When they do it, they'll want to do it when we're right on the up. So they'll be hoping that Conte can bring in some glory, have us challenging for titles again, maybe lift a trophy, and then they want to go, right, it's on the market. Because they'll want all these investors around the world to look at it and go, oh, there's the team. They're not at the top yet, but they're about to be, and this is the time to buy them.
Also, what they've got as well as a golden goose is like, you buy our club and you can put whatever name you want on that stadium.
Which is a funny thing, isn't it? Because the fact that naming rights has still not been done completely points to the fact that it is included in any kind of sales deal or any kind of investment deal. Because you could look at that, because that was why the sleeve sponsor never got done for so long. Because the club were trying to package all of that together as like, look, you come in, you get the naming rights, you get the sleeves. We're trying to do this big deal. And then when they realised that, look, the world isn't in a place because of pandemics and stuff, however, we have got companies knocking on our door for the sleeve, we'll do that deal separate then. And now we cinch. Just like the England cricket team.
And Crystal Palace.
Yeah, like everybody, pretty much. Yeah, it's the new gamble. So yeah, so the honest answer is yes, there was a meeting. No, I don't think it's imminent. I don't think all of a sudden Conte is gonna turn around and go, "Haha, bitches! I got 400 million in the bank. Buy me, everyone."
If only.
Yeah, if only. Yeah, and even if we did, we'd still try and sign people on instalments over 400 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, like, oh no, I want the interest from the bank balance. An interesting thing about transfer rumours, Pedro Porro from Sporting Lisbon, I've seen this a lot, like a lot of people having this argument and debate, whether it's on Twitter or on Facebook. So I just want to kind of say this because I think a lot of people aren't realising what the issue is. The guy's got a release clause and everyone's just going, well, pay it. Just pay it. Just pay the release clause. If you want to sign in, pay it. The way transfers work is nobody other than the uber rich pay it up front. And even the uber rich, unless it's a buyout clause, they do installments. They do it like, okay, we've agreed a transfer of 30 million and it's going to be split over the length of the contract the player signed with us. It's going to be this much every 6 months. And that's how every club does it on the planet. Except release clauses have to be a lump sum. because you have to deposit it with them with like a separate like escrow account, and then the solicitor will inform the club the release clause has been activated for this player, and then the player can then go and talk to us and, you know, agree a transfer, and then it's done. Like, the club can't get involved. It's like they're out of it then. But it has to be a lump sum. So if you're a club that doesn't want to sell a player, Portugal and Spain, by law, they have to have release clauses, but you don't want to sell them, of course you're just going to say, well, look, he's got a release clause, pay it or we don't sell. It's that simple. It is that simple to them. And they're right. They're not doing anything wrong at all. But the reason why Tottenham aren't just handing over all that money is because that would literally be it. Like, we wouldn't have the cash reserves then to do any other business this month. Because the way it works is, like, if I'm signing a player for 20, 30 million, I'm putting down 5 million and then it's installments.
Yeah.
But if we blow the 40 odd million that we've got straight into that one player, you've got nothing else to do anything else. And I think this window we need to be adding 2 players minimum, personally.
Yeah, I agree.
So if it gets late in the window and all our other opportunities have gone, then there's a very real possibility that we just go, pay the release clause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, then that's it. And then it's done. The guy arrives, does this, and we move on. Now, you could argue, big club mentality just goes and does it. Actually, everyone think about it for a moment. Think about the last time you actually saw a transfer where the release clause was activated. Anyone?
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often at all, does it?
No. The biggest one was Neymar. The biggest one was Neymar when PSG went in and threw down the 420 million euros, which Barcelona clearly thought, well, no one's ever going to activate that. And PSG went, hold my beer, mate. Oh, actually, hold my croissant. and boom. Yeah, it still boggles my mind that they were allowed to do it, but they were. But that's my point. You don't see it often because clubs want to structure deals. So what Tottenham are trying to do is say to Sporting, well, can we structure a deal? Now, there is negotiations because we also, Marcus Edwards is there. And we own 50% of Marcus Edwards. We as a club are interested in him potentially coming back. We're letting Lucas Moura leave at the end of the season, and our interest is for the summer, not for now. Now, he would be a perfect replacement. Perfect. Homegrown, knows the club inside out, will be coming back to England. He's now got Champions League first team experience. Perfect replacement, 23, turning 24 this years old. About to go into his prime.
When you say homegrown as well, he's literally born in Enfield, so you can
literally born in Enfield, yeah, like literally this kid. Now, there's a lot of factors to that involving his family and how he left the club. Lots of factors in that. But the fact is, we did kind of build some bridges again when we allowed him to go for his transfer to Sporting, because we could have cashed in the 50% then. But it would have collapsed the deal because the club he was at needed the money. And they were like, oh no, because if Tottenham take their 50%, we're not getting enough. So we went, all right, move our clause. If Sporting agreed to it, move our clause with him. And that enabled the deal to go through. Edwards' camp were very happy. But it does give us a negotiating point now. You know, there are reasons to be having talks. So, could that transfer happen? Yes, absolutely. Does it have to be the release clause? No. But that's why it's not a simple, just pay the release clause. It's not that easy. No one really does it.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as that. And if you've got that kind of money, like if we had, we had this investment and that investment came in and they were like, here's 200 million purely for transfers, the bloke could already be at the club.
Yeah.
Because you then still have 150 million to mess about with and do countless deals. But that one would just be done because it's like, bang, thank you, off you go. But we don't. And really no one does. Except for PSG and maybe Newcastle. Possibly Man City. depressing, isn't it? Also, by the way, how in the hell did Chelsea find 2 owners in their lifetime who are batshit crazy for spending money on football clubs? Like, I genuinely, when Roman, like, all of that was happening, I was so happy. I was like, finally, that club is going back in the mud where they freaking deserve to be.
Yep.
Like, their fan base is freaking racist, awful, horrible people. The club is, like, sport washed to the max, you know, like, awful. And I was so happy. And then they announced this bloke's buying him, and then they said part of the condition of the sale is he had to prove he had the money to invest in the team. And I'm thinking, well, that's one window, isn't it? You know, that's one window. Oh no, this lunatic's throwing money around like you wouldn't believe. He's just signed a player on loan for 6 months. All in, it's costing him 18 million quid.
Jesus, for a loan.
For a loan, that's the loan fee plus the guy's wages, which they're paying 100% of for 6 months. I mean, Atletico Madrid must be pissing themselves. You can't even get in their team. And they've just funded Atletico Madrid's, like, you know, probably half their wage bill.
Do you know, I don't want to focus too much on Chelsea, but they are they're struggling a little bit, though, aren't they? I think it maybe Potter's bitten off more than he can chew at that club. I think.
I think the issue is the expectation at Chelsea. Me and you touched on it before about Roman Abramovich brought in this thing at Chelsea, which is if you don't hit the ground running, you're gone. Like, if I appoint you and you don't come in and immediately have an impact, I'm not having it. I will fire you. I will sack you. I will sell you. I will sign you for 50 million, give you 10 games, and then sell you for a $5.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about the money. Yeah. Now, that attitude did drive them to success. Yep. You know, it really did, because it's from the top down driven them.
Yep.
But I think right now they're a little lost.
Yeah.
I think this American guy's come in and he's throwing money, definitely, but I don't think there's anyone there guiding him necessarily in the right directions. I don't think Graham Potter is used to some of the egos he's now dealing with.
Yeah, completely different at Brighton,
which is an adjustment.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's used to the fan base. I mean, at Brighton he had to win that fan base over, but once he did, the Brighton fans, you know, worship
they adored him,
because he did a phenomenal job. Now, at Chelsea, if they give him enough time, he will develop his style and he will get a team playing a great brand of football, and I think they'll be successful because he'll have the money to buy the better players to fit his style and his system to kick on.
Mm.
The issue is how long do they wait? Because the Chelsea fan base is used to, this isn't working, fire him, buy us, you know, bring us in Jose again. Do you know what I mean? They're just used to that.
Yeah.
So when do they turn toxic? When do they lose it with the new regime? And do the new regime have the balls to go, no, this is different. You got to be patient. We got to build. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
I have no idea. I mean, personally, I just want it all to go wrong.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But the thing that I quite like Graham Potter. So when he went there, I was like, oh, why? Why did you do it?
Yeah, I mean,
and then I screamed Potter like I was Voldemort. There's a niche reference. Oh dear. Anyway, so that's it, mate. I don't think I've got anything else to say. This is my last ever show in my 30s.
Oh mate, how does it feel? See, I did when we started doing our podcast. How long have we been doing it for? It was in 2018. It started, wasn't it, in the World Cup?
It was 2018 World Cup.
Yeah, so 5 years ago. So I was 39 when we started doing it.
Yeah.
And mate, it just where does it go? Where does time go? You're going to be in the 40s club, mate. In a week, our next podcast, we're both going to be 40, men in our 40s, chatting about
we
Spurs.
are. Yeah. I'll have a flat cap. I'll have a comfortable chair. Might find myself a whippet. I'm not quite sure what that is. I don't think it's a lady in leather, which is very disappointing.
Yeah.
It's my last show in my 30s, and I'm going to announce something live now, which is going to shock you.
Okay.
Which is possibly going to upset a lot of people, but probably not everyone. But it's probably, this is going to be my last season doing the Spurs News podcast.
Oh, you're kidding? How come?
I have reached a point where, through health, through life, through everything, where I have got to try and prioritise time and what I'm doing. And for whatever reason, supporting this club and running Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, TikTok accounts, which got banned, by the way. Our TikTok account's gone. Anyone who followed us on TikTok, I'm sorry. I woke up this morning with a banned message. Apparently, we posted a Gareth Bale compilation, and I think the Premier League went no, and that's it. We're gone. So I'm not doing that again. Yeah. But anyway, I think it's been a while. Like last season, we talked about it off air quite a lot. And I've just made the decision that I want all of this to go on. Like, I desperately want all of this to go on without me. So I'm not just saying bye, but I think unless something drastic changes, like Harry Kane signs a new deal, Conte signs a new deal, Pochettino becomes the new chairman of the club under Saudi investment, unless something kind of crazy happens, I think I just need to get away, because I'm like, when I'm doing the game updates and everything, I have to watch every minute. Now, years ago, if I'm feeling angry and depressed, I turn it off. Like you look at a game sometimes, you go, we're never going to win this. All I'm doing is getting angry and annoyed, and it's affecting me like every day. And we're playing 2 games a week on a regular basis. I just need to step away from it. I think I just need to go. Do you know what? Enough.
Yeah, I understand. I think for me, I find, because obviously I do the podcast with you, and I do the I post on our website, and I know you're far more involved with the Facebook side of it and the other side, and Twitter, and obviously Laura does the Instagram. But I've probably said this before, but I feel like because we the level that we go to with analysing, and we have to, like, when we do the podcast, I know we don't get over analytical, do we? But at the same time, we're talking about it, we're analysing the game, and it almost it takes away a bit of the kind of
fun.
Yeah, I don't know how to use the word fun, because I like doing this. I like doing this podcast. I do like doing it.
It's not slating it, and it's not wanting to sound like I'm ungrateful for the audience or anything like that. But it's like anything in your life. You think about something you enjoy doing. Now imagine someone makes you do it. Okay, not sex. I know all of your heads went there, you horrible buggers. But just think about it. All of a sudden, like, I remember when I was a kid, playing rugby for me was just joy. I used to love it. I used to practice everything every single day. When I got scouted and teams wanted to sign me, I was a teenager, all of a sudden, a few people around me wanted to get heavily involved. All of a sudden, it was, maybe pound signs in their eyes, I don't know. But all of a sudden, it was, you should be running every day. You should be swimming every day. You should do this every day. Now, the irony is, I was doing those things. But once someone told me I had to be doing it, all the fun went.
Yeah.
Like, all of the joy, all of the bits about training and playing rugby that I enjoyed vanished from me because someone was making me do it. And when that went, I got injured, and I say this to everybody, I could have fixed that. I could have rehabbed that, but I literally took it as my off-ramp. I went, oh no, there goes my career opportunity. Oh, look, girls, Yeah. And I was a teenager, and boom, that was the end of it. As an adult, I look back and I go, I would have been fine. I needed maybe a month not doing anything, 2 months hard physio. I'd have been back better. But I hated the position I was in with that. And it's getting to the point where, like, I'm watching games and stuff, and I'm doing it, and I'm like, I need a break from this. And I say, see, it's going to sound like, this is getting deep now. But like I say in our chat sometimes, anyone else fancy doing the game updates? And you're like, well, I'm there, so I can. Laura, very busy woman working for our health service. And Dan's just such a lazy asshole that he won't do anything. So, like, I'm begging him. Like, it's my birthday on Sunday, and I don't want to do the coverage. And I'm like begging the guy, and he still hasn't said yes. Such an ass.
Yeah,
I think it's the Northern in him. He's such a tight ass. I think he's waiting for me to pay him. anyway,
Do you know?
like,
Me and
maybe we should recruit more people. Maybe that's a solution.
yeah. I don't. Look, I hope your mind's not completely made up. If it is, then I'm going to completely respect that. But
Yeah.
I've gone through different emotions really look, I don't want anyone listening to think that I don't enjoy doing this, because I really do. And do you know
No,
what? At
no,
any
me too.
opportunity, you know, I had a I had an exam. I've been basically training to be an assessor at work, and I had a final exam on Monday, just gone. And a part of it was you had to have a 30-minute professional conversation with the assessor. And she said, "Do you mind if I record it?" And I was like, "Of course I don't mind." I was like, "I've been doing a podcast for the last 5 years. Like, I'm like this to me. You record me, and it's like it just comes natural to me, And I actually like when I say it out loud that I do a podcast. Don't get me wrong. I know we're not Joe Rogan successful, but I
No,
still
no.
feel like we get a lot of positive feedback from our listeners. And I know
Yeah,
I've mentioned this before, but the one I love and I will always mention to kind of give people a sign of how it's like this is so weird what we do is the one where the guy when me and you were both unwell, and the guy was like, "Oh, I was on holiday and I was planning on listening to your podcast on the flight home." I'm
yeah,
like, "You
yeah,
planned your flight around listening to me and
yeah.
Sam?"
It's like,
Well,
yeah,
but
you bastards, where were you?
yeah,
Yeah.
no, of course, and but
I'd say,
I've had moments where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm fed up with it, but I
yeah,
just feel like I would regret it. And I'm not trying to change your mind or like just,
no.
but it's just I'm thinking out loud. But
There are some really really kind people who message in. Recently, me and you were talking about the Facebook comments and stuff, and someone who's never messaged in before took it upon themselves to message and say, "Hey guys, you sounded a little bit down talking about that, so I thought I'd just say how much I enjoy the show." Meant the world to me, and I think I saw you reply to it first. It
yeah,
was just like, thanks, that really, that really helps. But what I will say is for every comment like that, we get 20 calling us every name under the sun. Now, that is the nature of social media, of putting yourself out there and putting opinions out there. And I'm fairly thick-skinned. Some call it fat. I'm calling it thick-skinned. But I am okay. I don't take all of it to heart. But I think, like you said, we've been doing this for like 5 years. Every single show is an hour recording plus an hour editing. I know it doesn't sound like it, but I do. I do try and edit it, I promise. You're talking 2 to 3 hours for me to put it together. And then when I put it out there and you just start seeing the messages come through of, "Oh, I can't believe you said this, you dickhead," or, "Oh my God, you couldn't be more wrong," because, after so much, it does get, none of it I take personally, even when they are pretty personal. It does just get tiring.
yeah,
And like when I stuff for Facebook, our Facebook page had a minimum of 4 posts a day every day, because I would go finding Tottenham stories, whether it's about our players, the academy, Tottenham women. I would hunt that, and it would take me time. It would take me hours out of my day to find all of this and put it there free for everyone to read. The reason why that is slowed to practically the page now has nothing on it sometimes is because for all that effort, my reward is fuck off, who cares?
yeah, yeah.
Oh, well, that's not a trophy.
Mm.
Oh, I post something like Tottenham women have now signed this player, it's going to be great for them. And I put this together, I'm really happy about it because I found that story ahead of anyone else knowing about it because it came from a really reliable journalist for women's football. So I was delighted. I posted it, absolutely ripped apart.
Mm.
And it's really disheartening.
Yeah.
It's really kind of like, well, why am I doing it then?
Yeah.
It used to be fun. This used to be a community where you'd post stuff, and yeah, I'm happy to debate stuff backwards and forwards, but it's just abuse. It's not even a debate. It's not like a kind of, one of my pet hates is when people say, "Yeah, well, you're wrong, fact," and you're like, is it a fact though?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah. We all got, I know you always say, opinions like ours, as everyone's got one. But I think for me, I get frustrated when people regard their opinions as fact, and it's like it's
Yeah,
just an opinion, mate. Like without it being backed up, anyone can claim anything. Like I can put on Facebook, I can fly, and then someone says, no,
Yeah.
you can't. Yes, I can. Don't
Yeah.
argue. How dare you doubt? It's like unless you can back it up with something, mate. It's just you're just spouting rubbish, and you see it all the time, and I think, I know over the years that you've wanted us to get more involved because I know you've been carrying the can by yourself. I appreciate that, but I think it is, and I know I mentioned this at the beginning of the podcast when I was
Yeah.
talking about mental health. But I feel like, look, mate, if you're at a point where your mental health is being affected so much by it, then look, that's you got to focus on yourself, mate. We've all got to focus
God,
on our own
this is
mental health.
becoming a Sam therapy session, not a Spurs. We've done loads of therapy sessions for Tottenham fans. This is now, I don't know. Maybe I'm about to have my midlife crisis. Maybe I need to buy a sports car and a busty blonde.
It's got to be convertible. Right. I'd like to. For anyone that is listening, I wouldn't, especially if you're on Facebook as well. I'm like, we're all busy. I appreciate that, but if you can take the time out to just kind of just give us your opinion on things, like because I know that you was talking about the message we got, and I'm really sorry that I can't remember her name, but it was really lovely. Like she said that she found us in, I think, March last year, and she's been listening to every show since. And honestly, it was such a lovely, positive message, and it wasn't like a quick couple of sentences. She put a whole she spent a lot of time writing that message out, which she didn't have to do,
Yeah.
And it really.
Her name was Amy.
There we go, Amy. Yeah. Thank you, Amy, for that, because it was really nice. It was really nice to read, because I'm kind of like talking about my side of it, but I know from your point of view, like you say, you're the one that puts it all together. You're the one that takes the time out, and you just Skype me and I hit record, and then an hour later send you the recording. That's me done, So I
then say, when's it out?
Yeah, when's it out? Yeah. But yeah, I get where you're coming from, and at the end of the day,
I'm probably just tired. We're recording in the evening. I've been drinking. Since we started.
Put that JD down and think about it in the morning.
It's a bottle of Jack. I'll be fine. I really, I didn't mean to do this. So look, apologies. This has been a bit of a downer. I didn't mean it to be. But I just, I'm tired. I think the relentless spewing of abuse, like if you get like these nice messages and I interact with people, like even the messages that are like, oh, you said this, I don't really agree with it because of this, I'm fine with that. Like that's fine. Like I love that. That's great. That's debate. That's discussion. That's polite. That's fine. But like the straight up hatred, I get hatred because I talk about the fact I used to play rugby.
Yeah.
Well, what do you know about football, you egg chasing moron? I mean, what? Really?
Yeah.
You can't know about both. I want to fucking shock people. I know about cricket too. Oh my god! Tiddlywinks, I'm a fucking king, mate.
I think the problem is, and we've talked it to death, I think, over the years with social media, but it's just the fact that people have got this. They've got this. What's the best way of describing it? They what they say to you on social media, never in a million years would they say to you in the street. And it's this sense of confidence, and I'm not even going to, can I say the word anonymity? It's the anonymity as well, that you can be abusive towards someone.
Beautifully, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
that's one of those words where I was like anonymity.
Yeah, I was say, I think that was me proving that I've not been on the Jack Daniels this evening.
No, well done. Yeah.
But yeah, and it gives people license, and it gives them the courage to kind of say things that. Yeah. It brings out the worst in people, son, and it brings out the best. Yeah. Like Amy, for example, it also brings out the best in people. But unfortunately, for others, it brings out the worst. And like when you constantly get embarrassed with it, like you say you are. In the end, you're like, from my own mental health.
It is just the kind of. I feel myself sort of moving further away from doing it all the time.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just like, because it's like, where's the, and it's not like, oh, thank you for doing this. That's not what I'm after.
No.
It's kind of like just the kind of, I don't know, really, just an acknowledgement of, oh, that was interesting. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, that was a good opinion, or no, I don't agree with that because of this. That's all fine. I get involved in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you think about like when we started, when you first joined and we were just doing the Facebook page, me and you used to be in the comments for practically every post.
Yeah.
And we'd be talking to people going backwards and forwards constantly.
Yep.
When was the last time
It's got so nasty and just a horrible place to be, isn't it?
It's awful. I can't do it because, like, on my phone, I'd have a notification that if I go into the comments, even just to post, like, this is our opposition team, boom, my notifications go nuts because everyone's like, oh, what about this? I just can't do it. No. But anyway, so that's my plan at the moment. We shall see. I will make sure the show shall rock on regardless. But that has been our show for this week. The last one of my 30s. I'm going to go cry in a corner. Matt will be here to drag me forward into my 40s and tell me all about how I can enjoy that because he's doing a great job.
Thanks,
and, he looks better than ever, so hopefully I'll have some of that in my 40s as well. I hope everyone is keeping well. You all look after yourselves. Get in touch. You can get in touch via any of our socials except for TikTok, which has been banned. But you can find us on Facebook, Instagram via Wonderful Laura. You can find us on... you can go direct via our website, by the way. You can go to Matt. You can email us directly from matt@spursnews.co.uk, sam@spursnews.co.uk. You can message via certain apps that you listen to. I know some of you do that. But yeah, any way you want to get in touch, feel free. We will be back next week to discuss a crushing victory in the North London Derby. I'm going to talk about all the new toys I got for my birthday. But until then, everybody, you all take care.
Take care, mate.
Thank you for listening to the Spurs News Podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Stay up to date with all things Tottenham. Follow us on social media. All links are in the podcast description.